Welcome to the Mucked Up My Self-Care podcast.
I'm Jill from New York.
And I'm Linda from Tasmania.
We are two moms from opposite sides of the world who are living, demonstrating, and helping moms across the world build their self-care asset bank.
Ready to dive in? Messy, interrupted, imperfect, and most of all mucked up. Let's get going. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're both in darkness.
We are.
Feel like we're finally synced up or something. In more ways than one.
Yes. I don't know why it's so dark in here. Like, I have two lights on. Like, the ring light is, I don't know. It looks bright in here to me. Weird.
Yep. It's dark outside. It's dark outside here. Yes. I have little people who don't want to sleep.
And I have a little person who was woken up too early.
Yep. So we're going to see how we go.
Yes, let's try it.
Let's go.
So,
highs, lows. Highs, lows. Oh, you read my mind again.
Really are synced.
Oh my gosh. What are we doing? Okay. Yes. Who's gonna go first? Who's gonna go first?
I can go first. Oh my gosh.
Go for it.
All right, let's see. The low. We'll start with the low. It's killing me right now. Yeah. Cycles. It's time for cycles to come right back around. And this one sucked. More pain than a while. It's just really confusing when you have the pain that's supposed to come after it shows up, and instead it shows up first, and it's like, this is different order this time, so I'm wondering what's going on. But I'm like still really close to finishing this in the flow book to get really clear on the cycle. So I'm hoping that I can really get things moving for myself with that. But low is definitely the pain that's come with this cycle. It's got me really, really uncomfortable. So much so I spent the entire day after church on the couch and barely moved. Today, a little better. We'll see how it goes. The high on top of that is back-to-back events this weekend and having to step up.
Way step up.
Yeah. Really put myself into a leadership position with my team, as did they have to do that. And the team worked so well together. I think it almost felt like it was done on purpose for that reason. Like an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
But I know it wasn't, but it was kind of feeling that way. We're like, maybe this was done on purpose because this worked out. Like we figured it out. We never worked as well as we have until that moment. And it was beautiful to see. And that just made my whole entire weekend, is seeing that cohesiveness between a team come together, especially when they're not next to each other. Like, we were on opposite sides of the world for the team. Like, that was pretty cool to have us come together virtually and really do something magical.
Yeah.
What about for you, Linda? Highs and lows?
I'll start with my low as well. I definitely am feeling the extra pressure on the house stuff in school holidays.
Yeah.
Alex decided to make a cake again at 7:30 tonight, and bless, he really does try to clean up as much as he can, but then he also wanted to make an egg as well at 8:30 or something ridiculous, and just feels never ending. And I only cleaned the kitchen this morning top to toe, like, the deeper, more attention cleaning than just your usual wipe down. felt like nobody had really wiped it down much on the weekend because I was busy with my own stuff and work, the summit, and all those sort of things. So, yes. Yep, we'll get there, but just feels never ending. I prioritized some of my own stuff that was important to me over that, I guess. So it's a big mix, of course, but gym tonight, I did the gym at dinner time, so I cooked dinner. I'd already got dinner cooked, bulk cooking stuff. So that was already done. So I went to the gym at dinner time and wasn't here for dinner, and that was okay.
Cool.
Yep. Had time for that and timed a little bit of time either side of that just to do a few things, get a few things, spend a bit of time quiet on my own.
Nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yes. At the moment, while I can. Just little snippets are okay.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like that you're doing that because you are demonstrating your self-care to your family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like you, I'm at that same cycle. And so Jim certainly felt a little bit like I was spinning the wheels. Definitely some of those lunges were much easier last week than they were this week. Some of those weights were much easier last week than they were this week. So it's still progress. It's still commitment, which is my word of the year. And commitment to turning up.
Yay.
Turning up. Yes. So slow progress.
But we started. And starting is half the battle.
Exactly. Yes, it is. Yep. And I think when we're committed to what we say we will do and what we say we want, it's different to just having the words out there. And that's when that old saying of actions speak louder than words, right?
Oh, yeah.
How do you think you're demonstrating your self-care at the moment?
I tried to yesterday after coming down from 2 events this weekend. I was not able to do a little bit of self-care after the second one yesterday. Not yesterday, Saturday, because we had lots of plans Saturday. So yesterday, Sunday, was my day to rest. It's always our day to do family things because that's Bobby's day off from work. So we usually try and do something after church. But with the start of my cycle, I was not into any of it. So I tried to prepare Declan on the way home from church that, hey, look, maybe you and Daddy can go out and go do something today because Mommy needs to stay home and rest to take care of herself. So I prepared him that I wouldn't be going out if they went out at all. And when we got home, I just sat down on the couch with my heated blanket and tried to get everyone else to do things for me so I didn't have to do anything too difficult. Like, luckily, when we got home, all the chores were done already. So I was very grateful for Bobby and my sister to have done that while I was at church with Declan, because then I didn't have to concern myself with that. So I think setting up the conversation with Declan was important for what we are going to do and when I need to rest. And I think that's like my starting point with him, and getting that demonstrated that, hey, look, we did something for you today and we did a whole bunch of stuff, like going to a birthday party, we did church things, and now tomorrow Mommy's going to need to rest. So maybe Daddy could take you out on his stuff, something like that, or maybe Aunt Net can play with you. And that's that's been one thing that we've been practicing because he likes to have a plan set up and get excited for that stuff that he's doing the next day. He's so funny. It's like, "Oh, what are we doing after my sleep?" Like, "Well, we have
Yep.
school, and then
Mhm.
we're gonna do
Mhm.
something else," and he goes,
Mhm.
"Oh, no, it's this way, this order." I'm like, "No, no, no,
Yeah.
this is the order."
Yep. Yeah. I had a few times last week, I think, where I knew that I was going to have some early mornings. The only time I could fit the gym into my calendar was 6 a.m. And so I knew that I needed an early night the night before. And so I said to the kids, you know what, the older two, I said, I'm going to be going to bed at the same time as you are. Maybe you can tuck me in for once, being that I've
How
tucked
did
you
that
in.
go?
It was very, very sweet.
Oh, I can
Yeah, it was
imagine.
very sweet.
Oh
Then I
my
heard them
goodness.
keep talking for
Yeah.
about 20 minutes after that. I'm like, oh. So I ended up having to get up and sort of navigate that a little bit, but it was very sweet for them to role reverse because that
Yeah,
helps them a lot with their own understanding of themselves and um, growth and maturity and all sorts of things as a role reversal. It really helps a lot in gameplay and child development and everything else like that. So yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. Mm, yeah.
Now, do you think being able to go to bed early with that, like, would that be able to become a routine? The nights
Mm,
that you want to go to bed early, would you be able to say, okay, it's mommy's night for early
maybe.
bedtime, like make
Yeah.
that something
Mm,
routine
mm,
and an example of your self-care for what you have to set up for yourself the next day?
yeah, maybe. I did lay there for ages because I'm not always used to going to bed that early yet. So I've got some work to do there.
Okay, let's try this side.
And
No,
then,
didn't
yeah.
fall asleep on this side. Let's turn over and try this side.
There was lots of tossing and turning. I can certainly, yeah, think about weaving that in. I do need to work on my sleep a lot more, and that's part of what I'm committed to trying to do. I did get 8 hours the other night, which I haven't for
Oh,
a long time, and I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I was like, oh, the sleep hangover. Oh, oh,
I don't think I've gotten 8 hours
oh.
in a very long time.
I think it was my reaction to just being like, hey, you need a lot more. Hey, we're going to tell you and show you and blast this
Yeah.
through. Like, so, yes, yeah, we will see how it goes. um, but certainly can try. However, finding that the little two aren't always predictable in that. So sometimes they might go down at 6 and then wake up again at 8 for,
Mm.
or if Quinn has a sleep during the day, his takes a long time to go down that night. A long time.
So
Oh.
when you're committing to, because I know bedtime is one of the hardest parts of your day for you. When you're committing to practice a little bit more for yourself with your own bedtime then. And like you said, actions speak louder than words, and we're committing to that. What could it look like for you to stay committed, even if you have to be flexible with that? So,
Mm,
like, are you like, say we have a bad night and it is going to take you 2 hours to get the kids down, and that was supposed to be your night for an early bedtime, and it's just maybe they did tuck you in and then it's just been chaos after that. So do you skip that night and then say, okay, we're definitely doing this tomorrow? But does that become more of a pushover where they aren't respecting it then? And then you
mm,
allow yourself
mhm.
not to respect it because, well, that didn't work.
Mm. Usually I can look at the day fairly well, and the fact that maybe if I've been busy during the day, or if they've been at friends' houses or something, there hasn't been a lot of connection, there needs to be more connection than usual. So sometimes I can predict a little bit if it's going to go well or not. So that helps. I have put sleep on my calendar now in big green blocks. So that's part of my commitment to that as well. Yeah, it's a bit like what I was talking about before, though. It's leaving the kitchen, not wiping it down for X amount at the moment because I want to do something else instead. So focusing on the priorities and trying to discern what is important in that moment is easier probably on 8 hours sleep. Which then feeds into a cycle as well. Yeah, I don't know that I'm demonstrating it that well sometimes, but I'm certainly trying and willing to be flexible much more than I used to be. What about you?
Well, I like that you said that you've put it on the calendar, which helps trigger you into being more conscious about the self-care that you're going to do for yourself each day, and like, how is that going to plan out? And I think something more routine is what I'm lacking on the calendar. And it needs to be put on there, especially with how the cycle goes, because with the energy leaks that we talked about recently too, like I can, if I plan out the weeks of my cycle, I know I can start saying, okay, well, this is the week that I have to keep open. So I'm taking it easy and less pressured things going on. And where can I, if I'm going to be doing all these things going on, like having a birthday party and a church event and a workshop all on the same day, how am I taking the next day or even in between in my empty periods of that day, that my white space on my calendar, how am I filling that with more downtime or self-care? And that is going to take a lot more attention when setting up my calendar every week. So I am not being committed to that, and that needs to happen as I'm planning out this new calendar next weekend to start following that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because whereas
And
I can't control work and church events and how they sync up with my cycle, but I can control how I care for myself during my cycle when they link up with what's going on outside of that. So it's a different way of seeing how you can control things, even though there's absolutely no control over any of it.
So do you actually have where you are in your cycle at the top of your calendar or anything?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
you do.
I do. And I had to put it on the calendar on the refrigerator because I'm not the only one that needs to know it. Like Bobby, he was the first one to even recognize off of the rage and that was becoming cyclical. And so putting the days leading up to that helps him trigger, okay, I gotta watch myself and see where I can start pitching in more to help out, and helps me recognize my attitudes more so, watches my emotions at the beginning of this practice. Now I need to start filling in the self-care parts.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. It is a work in progress though, and it takes that consistency, I think, as well. Like we talk about commitment, consistency, discipline, all of those things. I think it's unfair of us to think that we can demonstrate it once and think that it's going to be that way next time.
Oh yeah, big time.
So
And
all the stars might align and the bedtime goes really smoothly, and suddenly you're sitting down with a cup of tea at 8:30 and the house is quiet and you're going, what's about
how did I do that?
happen? Like, what?
That is not
That's the-
repeatable
no.
though.
Mommy, will we come in
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Mommy,
So
what should
I think
Mommy,
we have to be kind to ourselves
first.
in demonstrating or thinking that if we demonstrate it once, it's not just going to be the way it is at all. And part of that is probably allowing ourselves to also capture those magical moments. So when they do happen, have the evidence file or the memory in our mind that it is possible, but also not the expectation. So if we fall short next time, it's okay. It's actually okay.
It's funny that you bringing this up because I was just thinking about Mother's Day this past one when we started this podcast, and I was thinking that was the best day I think I have had self-care wise and like ever, because I was completely alone for the whole day and I took care of me and got to do what I wanted and I wasn't worrying about anything. And I have not been able to replicate that since then.
Oh,
You can't see yourself. There's a point to that, kiddo. So I am glad that you brought that up.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're actually going to be talking about your top 5 self-care activities next week and how you demonstrate those. And I'm looking forward to asking lots of questions
Oh,
when
I'm
it comes
excited
to
to talking about it.
your top 5 as well, and how that plays out and everything else like that. So stay tuned indeed. And then I think we're going to touch on my top 5 the week after that.
I'm very excited for that one too. It's going to be 2
Yes,
great
so-
episodes back to back.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that will that's gonna have some other good episodes following behind that where we get to
we've
talk
got
some more favorite
all
practices.
all-
I can't wait.
all planned out. So
Well,
until
next week.
next week, we hope you can unstuck your
your
luck. Bye for now.
Bye.